no man wants to be second to a woman who has kids. Is this a thing? Like, do y'all feel like if you date a single mom that you are second to her kids? And what is it that causes you to feel this way? Is it the way she treats you? Like, what are the things that make a man feel like if they're dating a single mother, they are second to her kids? What if she's giving you all her time? What if she's splitting custody 50-50 and she's giving you 50% majority of her time, and even when her kids are around, she's catering to you just like she would any man, even if you were the father of her kids? I just want to understand why a man would say this to me, saying, no man wants a woman that has kids because he's second to her kids.
I don't know why these women just don't go back to the father of their children. I mean, I got so many questions before I just give the context behind why I would never personally recommend to date a single mother, especially with smaller children. But before I do that, let me just say that I always like to give credit to the content creators. So the link to their profile is going to be down in the description of the video. And then make sure y'all tap into the Patreon link is in the description, as well as Tej Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. All right, so let me deep dive into this. Number one, my questions would be, A, why don't you go back to the kid's father? Because that kid will always have an attachment to him. And I think that the bigger answer and the face, the foundation of the answer, and then I'm gonna add the context, is that that's not his kid. It's not ever going to be your child. It is a thankless job. The kid is not ever going to look like you. It's only going to take one time for that kid to say, "You not my father." And then more importantly, she's always going to have an attachment and some sort of communication or whatever it is. It doesn't matter what you think, bro. No matter how it is that you look at it, that man did whatever it is that he did to her, and he told her he loved her in the passion and the heat of the moment, and he had the best of her, and he probably still is always going to have access to her just based off of the kid alone. It doesn't make sense. Now, think about it from this perspective. And I always like to break it down from a C student's perspective. Let's say, for example, that this man has 0 children and he's going towards the apex of his career. And he was the dude that made the sacrifice in order to do the things that's in the best interest of himself, which ultimately, whoever it is that he marries or he gets with is going to be the beneficiary of it, right? And, he was passed up on, or, it wasn't anything that he did wrong. And so instead of God putting a woman in his life that don't have children, which would be somebody that he's equally yoked with, he has to go in and make sacrifices for. It's even some guys that I've talked to on coaching calls that said, "Anton, I made a mistake and I went through an adoption as far as adopting this woman's child that I am now in a relationship with." And let's say, for example, she breaks up with him. Within 2 or 3 years, they get divorced or whatever. Do you know that that man now has to pay child support for that child? That legally he is on the hook and is responsible for the well-being of that child? That there are women out here that literally place men's names on birth certificates that's not even a biological father of that child? That there are men that are required by the court to pay child support for children that aren't theirs? Does that make sense? Like, I don't know anybody that goes into a negotiation or a business deal for a job that they love and makes a horrible decision intentionally knowing that it's a bad deal just because you love the job itself and you're willing to catch the bad end of the stick as a result of it. That would be crazy. It would be absolutely insane. It would not make any sense whatsoever. But what we do is we then spin the block and we try to renegotiate what makes sense in our minds just because we making an emotional decision about how we feel about that woman in the first place, which is why you should never even put yourself in that position. I don't tell people that they shouldn't deal with or date single baby mamas because that they're bad people. I tell guys that they shouldn't do it because you didn't get an emotional attachment to the thing that you spend the most time around, and then you start making compromises as far as what your standards are. Next thing you know, You telling a woman that you love her, that you shouldn't even be with. You're making a bad decision. And again, we not even vetting for the reason of why people wasn't able to make it work, because ultimately a lot of times these people then get with people that they're not supposed to be with, have children by them, and then know that that dude is not going to stick around. They know that he's not no good. Most men are good men. Most men take care of their children. Most men participate in their child's life. I've seen videos where guys have literally been ready to crash out because the step baby daddy is taking a child to get their hair cut, and he mad at the mama, and so he ready to fight the dude, and you can't control that dude. You can't control it. One of the things that she said is, and what if you getting 50-50 custody and all of that? Man, who got time for that? And she's trying to qualify it by saying, well, this woman is going to naturally place the man before the child. A, I don't believe it. And then B, you're supposed to, as a couple, as parents, make sacrifices for the children. You're supposed to, by default. You put everything that you have on off, and you hold off on all of your dreams and everything that you want to do, or even if you're doing something, it is supposed to ultimately feed into what's best for the child, right? Because my success is your success, and you're the beneficiary of his greatness. But why would he do that for something that's not his, for a seed that's not his? Why would a man crash out for something that doesn't make sense for him? Why would you even want somebody, if you love them, to take a bad deal? It's selfish in itself to ask somebody to make a sacrifice for something that they did not create. But I think that guys is getting used. Guys is getting used bad. They getting taken advantage of. And then they're also getting shamed, because in any other country, in any other culture, and this is just honest to God truth, this has nothing to do with her. I don't have anything to say about her in particular. I'm just speaking to her point. In any other culture, and I've even spoken to women that are in Germany. Some of them is, from different countries, and I don't want to go into all of the details, but in a general sense, they say that these women are looked at as lepers. Like you wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. You got all of the options in the world as a young man, and you're vetting for the woman based off of where you're going. Why would you choose somebody that is not going in the direction that you're going in? Why? That makes no sense. This is a life event. This is somebody that you got to pay extra for, even to just be on your benefits. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But we make sense of it, and we qualify ourselves as a result of it. And we keep it pushing like it's no big deal when now we've made it a cultural norm. That's not normal. It's not normal. It never has been normal. We try to normalize it in the same way that we normalize having diseases. We normalize it in the same way of having children out of wedlock. We normalize it in the same way that we don't advocate for getting married before you carry. And marriage is now looked at as a taboo subject. I think that people should spend more time, making proactive decisions as far as who it is. And I know that there's anomalies. I know that there are situations where sometimes people is widowed or stuff like that. Please miss me with that. We all know about that. We speaking to the majority. We're not speaking to the minority. You know what I'm saying? So just be mindful. Be careful of what you surround yourself with. And don't make bad decisions long term. And understand that the decisions that you make, especially to bring a child into this world, is not one to be taken lightly. I'm curious as to what y'all think. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. Let me know in the comments. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Peace.